Hey, what's up, Liron here. Today we're going to do a refresher on the simplest, easiest watercolor painting technique for portraits. I have this camera here because I did it in front of me, but I want to show you the easiest way to go, and that has to do with shapes and focusing on shapes. Now, the dirty trick that we're going to use is we're going to simplify everything. So we're going to use a photo that is pretty much black and white so that we can see the shapes cleanly, and then we're going to use just a black color, in this case neutral tint. So let me go ahead with the first example and show you. If I can draw this focused on shapes alone, I can and I should manage to, and I want to show you the entire process, including the drawing stage, just to show you how simple it can be. I should be able to get something that feels realistic. We're not necessarily talking about making it like the person, making the likeness. What we're talking about is achieving a realistic impression or a somewhat accurate impression based on shape. So if we look at the nose here, we have this beautiful shadow, and then the eyebrow comes out here, and then we have the eye kind of hidden behind the nose, and then the nose goes here. Now look at, this is where it's really important to focus on shapes. We have this big shadowy shape coming from here, going all the way around the nose, and you don't even have to be that accurate really, going down, closing in, and look at it, it continues casting a shadow to the right. Okay, and just follow the shape. You don't have to know what you're drawing in this case, and it's even better if you don't, you just kind of draw it. And it could be used as an exercise, you could use it as kind of a simplified approach to practicing portraits, right? If you aspire to do something that actually looks like the person and has more complexity to it, you may choose to devote a lot more time to the drawing and maybe even trace and use whatever techniques at your disposal. Look at this as a simplified, dumbed down approach to doing portraits, okay? And look at what we've got here. Everything we need: shapes of light, shadow. Here we're gonna figure things out, background, and let's go for it and see what we can create here, okay? Now, it's important for you to understand that when I approach this kind of a painting, I match my expectations. So what do I mean by that? We did a very quick drawing, right? There's no way we can get everything in. So match your expectations and try to create something that looks cool, maybe that flows well, right? So I'm actually going to start from this shadow to the left. Now, one important note, as always, mix enough paint, okay? We're using just neutral tint, which makes our lives a whole lot easier, but you still want to make sure you mix enough of it. Okay, now as we move down, we're going to move around the nose, and look at what's going to happen here. I'm just following the shapes I see like that. Okay, don't overthink it. Again, we talked about this recently. The whole overthinking of shapes and how accurate was it and is it perfect, and it's not perfect. Okay, it's never perfect. But I just want you to see how simple it is to create that pretty convincing three-dimensional impression. Now, one thing that you can do to really take this up a notch is just to play around with some edges. So go ahead and blend that edge, right? Feel free to vary your edges. That's a neat way of adding an extra layer to it. But honestly, the only thing that matters here is following those shapes of light and shadow, which here we left. And again, I could do this without the drawing stage, to be honest with you. I could just go for it directly, but I did want it to have some structure and not be completely blind, not fly blind fully. So yeah, that's what we did here. And look at what's gonna happen. We're gonna merge this shadow under the chin completely with the background, which we will continue here on the right. But before that, let's address a few edges. So the chin is relatively rounded, so why not round it off like this? And I'm really putting a time constraint for myself on how long I can devote to each portrait here, because I want to show you the gist of how simple this approach is. Cast shadows are sharp, but shadows that are created from the change of planes are a little rounder, so they'll have softer shapes. And off we go to this side, again taking some risks, working very boldly here, but look at how just adding that background will complete the image. And this method is exactly for those who aren't as experienced and you just want to get a taste of what it's like to paint realistically. It is very easy to create a realistic impression. It's all about the shadows, and don't let anyone else complicate it for you, okay? It's all about the shadows. Just follow the shapes of shadow you see. But The dirty trick here, use simplified reference photos. Like I'm doing here, use reference photos that are highly simplified in terms of the light and shadow. Here's something cool you can do. The lip looks like it has a bit of value on it, so you can extend this. Just use a bit of water on your brush and you can extend some of the shadow here like that and make it look like it's part of that lip, and then you can blend some edges here and there just to get again that varied look. And once we close off that eye here on the right, we should be almost fully done with this one, and the rest is just finishing touches that are optional. You can choose to put them in, you can decide not to, you can decide to make this as fancy or as simple as you like. But can you see how a face was created here? That's what we're after, right? And if you want to come back and fix, you can do that, but look at how it's starting to dry, so come back with very thick paint if you have to, and then do the fixing you need to do. Now, you just look at it and you think, okay, should I fix some shapes? And again, should I make some things a little more accurate? I feel like a shadow here, a little stronger under the nose, could go a long way. I feel like some sections here within the darks could still be a little darker, but other than that, really, maybe a bit of this kind of texture for the stubble. Maybe there is a bit of stubble there. But honestly, that's it. And you see the face was created. That's all you need. You want to add a few creases on the forehead, which are actually light in this example. So let's try and go for that. Using a very light value, and then maybe leaving a white gap for those, right? But again, we're not trying to follow this super closely. We're just getting the gist of the shape. Let's do another one. Okay, so I just flipped my page and let's do another one that's supposedly a little more complicated. But what we're gonna do is exactly the same thing. We're gonna follow the shapes. And I love the extra details here with the glasses and everything. Now, I'm doing a different approach than what I recommend when drawing things accurately. I would go more for structure. But in this example, we're simplifying. So that would be the entire face. Right? And otherwise I'd use the Loomis method, I'll do an accurate drawing, but that's not what we're after here. So this is gonna be a part that is in the light. I'm just trying to show you how simple it can be to follow the shapes and out of that create something, okay? And even if you don't get the likeness of the person, what you do get is a very good understanding of how easy it is to create a realistic impression of light and shadow, even within a portrait. So these are going to be the glasses, and look at this complexity here. We have so much going on, but we'll deal with it. Again, this isn't necessarily the first painting I'd go for. Go for something similar to the previous one I showed you, maybe. But I do want to show you this in action for a variety of different portraits, okay? So, and this is all in the shadow, and the rest we're gonna figure out and wing it, okay? Just go for it. That's something that's missing for a lot of people. So we're gonna get started. I'm gonna just do this top to bottom, like an initial wash, only this is gonna be alla prima completely. And one thing you may find when doing this is you're just having great fun. And this, and I'm gonna plug it in the end, the frustration-free watercolor course, the link is in the description. That's what you wanna check out if you're interested in that fun, more whimsical approach and still get realistic results, right? It's not going to be as detailed necessarily as the Watercolor Realism course, but it is going to take you halfway there at least, and you'll be able to let go and really enjoy the process. Now, I'm going to switch over to a slightly lighter value here for some of the hair, because the hair is white. And look at what we're doing here. We're going to revisit the background and just apply some very thick paint. Like this, make a separation between the hair and the background. See? That's how it works. That's how easy it is. And then switch over to a slightly darker black here. And just follow the shape, right? You see all of these details by the hair. Do all of those. And already, you can tell something is created here, right? That's how fast it is. It's a quick win. Don't worry about the likeness, the accuracy. Just get something that has a sense of light and shadow in it. Later on, you can bring and introduce colors to the equation, because colors add a whole new variable, and I would do the Stan Miller approach of not introducing all colors and tons of mixing and matching. What you want to try at first is perhaps using 3 primary colors and just using them purely. And when you see it's dark, you use a bit of blue. When it's kind of mid-value, you use a red, and when you want to go light, you use the yellow. Okay, and look at how blending one edge will go a long way in creating the impression we're after. Let's see. I have my computer recording my face, and hopefully it didn't stop since I started it, because sometimes it's has a bit of technical issues, so I'm gonna check near the end. Actually, let me check now. Yeah, we're good. We're still running. Okay, we're good. I'm gonna check again near the end and just continue. Move with the shapes, right? Now there's one big shape we still haven't addressed, and that's the nose, right? That's a very important area. We're gonna get to it because it's separate, so we can kind of skip it for now. Well, look at what happens here. Another point where we're gonna have a bit of a lighter value, I suppose, here between the beard and the background. So let's darken around the beard just to indicate that. Well, let's even darken here, this area. Go a little darker. And already something happens, right? Something happens here. Let's start introducing the nose. So that's going to be around here. And notice, you know, paint around some highlights. If you need to leave that highlight here, make sure you do that. Right? You can't wing it. You have to follow the shapes you see accurately. And that means leaving highlights wherever you see them. Painting over dark areas wherever you see them. Let's get something to indicate the lip. Then we have a bit of a shadow there on the beard. But honestly, this is getting to a point of being good enough. And that's what I want you to aim for. Let's connect these two shapes in. Let's get this eyelid a little more organized. Even though some of the paint dried, that's fine. Not the end of the world. Get this here. Get this eyebrow a little stronger. Get this shadow a little stronger. Darken the nose a bit too, I'd say. And then we have the eye on the other end. And you know what you can do? Something really fun is come back maybe with a white gel pen or even opaque paint and just get, and let's get a bit of a shadow here on the cheek. And just get, let's take a risk. Let's dip into the already dried areas. Just to, I don't know, add a bit of, I guess, value on top of it. It's a risk. I like to do that sometimes. And I actually replied to a comment recently that shows how I do this. So here we go. Maybe the face should be darker, and we're just darkening it. A la prima, having fun. See? And then the beard becomes a little clearer in all of this big mess. Switch over to a small brush, right? I was starting to make an important point, but I forgot it now, so that's fine. Just get that texture on the edge of the beard. Get a bit of a smooth transition, maybe just to vary it up a little, right around here. Right around here, but there you go. This is the easiest portrait painting method for watercolor you'll ever encounter. I highly recommend you give it a try. It's not easy, but it is the easiest. Okay, so I want you to give it a try and work on creating that courage, and we can even try lifting. Let me get a piece of tissue here. I should have had it prepared in advance, but I want to try and lift maybe that light on the nostril below that, so just to show you a bit of a different technique, like that. See, got the nostril, right? Give it a try. It's really easy. Find a few high contrast. Look at the other one, right? It's just a face. It's a simplified face. If you can see, it's like a Rorschach test. You can see it very kind of inaccurately, but you can still tell what it is. That's the way to build confidence. That's the way to practice, right? And then you can take it up a notch, take it to the next level. Add color, add a more accurate drawing, trace if you have to, right? Work on the edges, think more about the edges. You will get there. That's where you start. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out Frustration-Free Watercolor Course, link in the description box below. If you want to have time with me every month where I give you specific advice on your painting and critique on what to improve, be sure to check out the Patreon. I have a new tier there. All the courses, drawing courses, also in the description box. And thank you so much. Don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe if this is the first video of me that you see somehow. I will see you in the next one.